Commander, what is that?
A door.
With the premiere of Star Trek Picard Season 3 just days away, I decided why not cobble together a list of characters that I think should appear within the next season. A couple of caveats before we get into this. While I originally considered just about anyone, I did decide the best thing to do would be to stick with characters who really make sense within the story that it seems they're trying to tell. While it would be wonderful to see just about any number of our old favorites, I'm not just going to toss someone on the list because they're cool, for the most part. Alternatively, I'm not really going to include anyone they have pretty much stated isn't in the season. So for this reason, characters like Tasha Yar, Sela, Guinan, Wesley, and of course my poor vandalized Icheb are not going to make the list. I'm also not going to include any of the children from our TNG crew. I think it's likely that some or all of them will be at least referenced in this season, since it does seem like it's going to be all about legacy, so I don't want to populate my entire list with Alexander and co. Feel free to notice all the times I break these rules. Now let's kick off this list with the safer bets and expand towards the least likely. Coming in first, we have...
I am Chief Miles Edward O'Brien. Very much alive, and I intend to stay that way.
Chief Miles O'Brien, although he is most likely not going by that title anymore. This one makes so much sense that I would be completely shocked if he didn't appear in this season at all. Not only was he around since the pilot of TNG, but he was also present in the series finale. He's bookended the series then, so why not continue that tradition now? Add to that all of DS9, where he had a fairly close relationship with Worf, and he just jumps out as the most obvious choice if you're writing the final TNG chapter. Continuing on in a similar vein...
Barkley! Yes, Commander. It's me.
Reginald Barkley himself. If we were trying to populate this thing exclusively from TNG without any wider Trek, I still believe he would make the cut. A fairly important guest crew member, he made enough of an impact to warrant a small role in First Contact. Add to that his very important role in the last known whereabouts of Moriarty, and his reappearance in very important roles in the fate of Voyager, and he just screams for a definite inclusion within this season. Speaking of those last two Broccoli points, my next pick.
I awaken into this world fully programmed, yet completely innocent, unaware of the hardships I'll endure, or the great potential I will one day fulfill.
Voyager's chief medical officer, the EMH Mark I, who proved that holograms are more than just toasters. While his inclusion in Season 1 of Picard would have made sense, if you combine his history with both Barkley and holographic rights, I think it would make perfect sense to have him as a very integral part of the Moriarty storyline. Whether this is lobbying for his freedom, lending as mobile emitter, or something else, it would just be wonderful to see him back for all of these reasons, as well as a reunion with the best double act on Voyager, Seven in the Dock. Following the thread of relating back to Moriarty comes my next choice.
What the hell are you doing here?
Saving your life.
Oh, come on.
Dr. freaking Pulaski. While I won't go into all the reasons I think she deserves more love in this video, her presence would make an awful lot of sense. Not only was she a very important crew member of the Enterprise D, but she was also linked to Jean-Luc's artificial heart, which is why she would have made a perfect choice as the house-calling doctor from Picard Season 1. As she didn't appear there, what better time to give the good doctor her proper due than in the final send-off of TNG? Couple that with her being a vital part of the Moriarty creation, this seems like a perfect opportunity. Unfortunately, I don't think the actress has any interest. See, I told you I was going to break my own rules. While we're exploring TNG crew who haven't gotten their dues, on to the next.
Ensign Ro Laren reporting as ordered, Commander.
Ro Laren. For such a short stay on the Big D, she sure made a pretty large impact. I know that the original plan was for her to move to DS9 and fill the role Kira would take, but that never came to pass. As such, we last saw her heading off to join the Maquis in their struggle. While I have to imagine her life during DS9 and the Dominion War was rough, to say the least, I have no doubt that she would have survived that. What better time to be bringing her back than this season when by all accounts our crew has to do some stuff that's off the books. It looks as if Raffi is heading into the underworld, so who better to include in this mission than Ro? And now, moving on to our first character who had no presence in TNG-related material. Yes, I count Picardo's doctor because he did show up in First Contact. We have...
It's me. Dax.
Esri Dax. This is based half on character reasons and half on beta canon. Esri had very little to do in DS9 since she was basically a last season replacement for Jadzia. She became a pretty standout character in the novels, so it would be nice to bring her in to shine a bit more in Alpha canon. That's secondary to her relationship with Worf, however. While not being his wife in the strictest sense, since that's not how Trills work, her presence here could put that nice cap on the Dax-Worf relationship for good, along with providing us a badass captain of the USS Aventine.
Oh, a man can dream, though. A man can dream.
Leaping a bit further back in time, I'm calling on...
Captain Archer, sir.
Go ahead.
Admiral Forrest needs you at Starfleet Medical right away.
That's right, Scott Bakula is Jonathan Archer, baby! This is a bit different in execution to any of my other options. We know that part of this season will involve the Federation's holiday known as Frontier Day. Here is where I believe we could have a glorified cameo appearance by the legendary NX-01 captain himself. Similar to how Zephram Cochrane was reprised by James Cromwell in Enterprise, I think Bakula could show up here with a recorded speech being delivered on this day. Perhaps it could even be the Federation founding speech that we were all robbed of in that final episode of Enterprise. While James T. Kirk might also be a great fit here, I generally don't feel that Shatner is a likelihood or that they would want to bring him in for such a minor role. Coming back to my fascination with beta canon, let's go ahead and welcome...
Good to have you back, Mr. Tuvok.
I must inform you that I was assigned to infiltrate your crew, sir.
Tuvok! While I don't expect the novels to entirely play into the shows, one of my favorite contributions to the Titan stories has to be Tuvok as a member of Riker's crew. This isn't necessary for his inclusion in Picard 3, but I think it would make the easiest link in order to get him involved. His sense of loyalty and logic could serve our crew well in their efforts. Something that I haven't touched on yet in this video is the sense of an inter-Starfleet conflict of some sort that the trailers seem to indicate. I want to mention it at this point as another reason some of these characters could become involved. Both Esri and Tuvok could play well into this storyline, as well as my next choice.
Welcome aboard, sir. I'm Commander William G.
Riker, class of 57, graduate 8th in this class. I'm looking forward to serving with you, Commander.
Admiral Jellico. Only appearing in TNG once, this man was pretty much the antithesis of Picard in his command style. While initially played as a pseudo-antagonist for Riker, recent years have shown a dedicated improvement in the fandom's appreciation of him. With his recent return in Prodigy and the just mentioned possibility of a conspiracy-type conflict, what better character to bring back as one of the major heads of Starfleet than Jellico? I have also considered Janeway for this role, but frankly I think her inclusion would be a bit too much and a bit too distracting. She may appear in some manner, but I think Jellico is the clear choice. Before moving on to my final decision, I want to give a small honorable mention for both Adam Scott...
Sir, there's another starship coming in. It's the Enterprise.
...and Morgan Bateson.
This is Captain Morgan Bateson of the Federation starship Bozeman. Can we render assistance?
Representing different facets and indeed eras of Trek, I think these could be well used for Starfleet officers, and they both deserve a larger presence in the Star Trek universe. Adam Scott's character may have the loyalty and history to Worf as a defiant officer, and Bateson owes his entire freedom from the temporal anomaly to the Enterprise D. Should our team be recruiting allies within Starfleet, these could be great choices. And now, for my final choice. And do remember I said at the very beginning that I was ending with the least likely.
I'm sorry. I don't recognize you, Lieutenant.
It's me. Naomi Wildman.
That is right, my friends. Naomi Wildman. While I think my man Icheb would have made a great addition, he is no longer alive. Thanks for that, by the way. So let's get the first child born on Voyager in the Delta Quadrant in this season. If it's truly about focusing on legacy, what better way to show that the torch has already begun to be passed than to show Naomi Wildman as a prominent member of Starfleet. Her ties to 7 of 9 could also make for a nice connection to our show. This wouldn't even need to be a grandiose arc or anything, but just picture this, Lieutenant or Commander Wildman, working on one of the ships this season. This could add to the full circle nature of our show, and prove that while all good things must come to an end, the adventure never does. But what do you think? Are there any characters you really think are going to pop up in this season? Were any of my choices completely off base? What are you expecting of this third and final season of Picard? Leave all your thoughts below and go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button while you're there. And until next time...
Computer, end program, now!